Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We are going to go over my Knights Armament SR15. This is the 11.5 inch SBR. And yeah, we're going to talk about the gassing of this gun. Now, I currently have a RC2 on here. Previously, I had a Dead Air Sandman S, and the issue was with both cans, not just the RC2. Now, when I say issue, what I'm talking about is the ejection and overgassing. So essentially, I'm going to roll a video in of some older, when I was shooting with the Dead Air. You'll notice that it's, the ejections at like 2 or 3 o'clock. It's not even consistent. It's kind of all over the place a little bit. And then you'll notice that even occasionally, the brass isn't getting flung properly. It's getting ejected. It goes like, nah. It's like it gets ejected and it just kind of drops. Like it's not getting flung. And so I do what everyone else does. I was like, okay, well, let's figure it out. You know, let's go to the buffer weights and things like that. Obviously started with the KAC buffer. Then I went to a tungsten T2 powder. Then I went to a Geisley H3 with their braided wire. And then I went even up to a H4. And that's what's currently in here is the Geisley braided spring with the H4, because that was the most I could get it under control. And that's when you look in the first clip. I'm going to roll this in a minute. The first clip is that setup, and you'll see what I mean. I could not quite get the gassing ever sorted. So along come the 3.2 bolts. And I was like, originally I was like, man, you know, like I'm not going to switch out because these, you know, this bolt carrier grip's great. You know, no need to change it. This is actually probably a better quality metal. And as far as I'm aware, nobody's ever really broke one. So I was like, I'm not worried about it. However, I did a little more research because, you know, I read and shockingly, and I research stuff on guns all the time. And the 3.2 obviously has the dual extractors, but it's, from what I read, it sounds like it's designed for guns that are suppressed on the KAC lineup. Especially the shorter barrels. And I was like, oh, interesting. So I did a little more research, and there wasn't seem to be like a lot of information out there. And KAC parts, as you know, are a freaking nightmare to get a hold of. Now, this thing is filthy. My hands are filthy because I was shooting suppressed, obviously, and I haven't cleaned these. So the 3.2 bolts came out, and yeah, stupid hard to get a hold of. But I was like, I should try it. Maybe it'll fix my issue. And I like to play with new stuff. So in the clip I'm going to show you is there's going to be 3 tests. The first one is the original bolt carrier grip with the original bolt. Then in the middle test, it's going to be the sand cutter with the 3.2 bolt. And then on the last test, it's the original bolt carrier grip and the 3.2 bolt in this, not the original one. Let me play that and we'll talk about the results. All right, folks, as you just saw, this definitely fixed the issue. And again, not that this is a bad bolt carrier grip. It's not in the slightest. I'm not even trying to imply that. But for the gassing, this was not doing it for me. As I say, then I ran the sand cutter with a 3.2, and you'll notice immediately my ejection was fixed. Now, I might have to go back and adjust maybe the buffer weights, because that H4 is pretty dang heavy. I might see if I can tame that back a little bit. But it ran great, and it was flinging that brass, and you can see it was ejecting where it should be. And then the last test, I was like, okay, well, not everyone's going to have a sand cutter. I really need to put this in the original bolt carrier grip with the 3.2 to make sure that still fixes it, and it's not just like the sand cutter for some reason. So as you saw in the last clip, it still worked the exact same as the sand cutter. So the 3.2 bolt not only fixed my gassing issue, it's, as I say, it is chucking that brass. So, you know, if you're running an if you're running an SR15 and it's gassed properly and blah, 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 would I recommend upgrading to the 3.2 bolt? No, there's no point. You know, as I say, these bolts are amazing. I think the actual steel, the metal that is made of, is actually probably better quality than what's in this. Not saying either is bad, but I've never heard of anyone ever breaking these bolts. So if you're not having an issue, I wouldn't. If you're like, oh, I'm on the fence, no. If you just want to spend money, you've got some extra money lying around and you can find one, yeah, sure, go ahead. But for me, it fixed my issue, and this thing runs like a sewing machine again. So I'm very happy with it. Again, it was expensive, but again, it fixed and it does what I needed it to, which was the whole point. So anyway, all right, folks, that's just a really quick video from me. Any questions, any comments, please ask below. Happy to help out wherever I can, and that's it. Until next time, we'll catch you later.